And there was like, I was eating my hair and yeah. Okay, let's try that again. Oh.
Take two.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. I asked Amanda to help me with this video. Mostly because, well, I feel like, especially recently, I've been floating a lot of ideas by you when it comes to preaching from different scriptures and things like that. But this week, Jesus uses an example of childbirth as an image. And so I have the daunting task of using a childbirth illustration on Mother's Day.
And I said, pick a different scripture. But here we are.
Oh, we're going to power through it. Yeah,
I decided I would help him out like a little bit.
It's funny.
A little bit this week.
Well, so we were talking a minute ago too, just about how hard her pregnancy was. And many of you actually will remember that because we were in the process of discerning and then candidating here in Fillmore when Amanda was very pregnant with Hannah.
Yes.
And it was
Nana?
the awful stages of that pregnancy. I won't speak for it. But you had a rough time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't anything like medically wrong or anything. I don't think I'm a great pregnant person. And Hannah just gave me all sorts of pain, and I was sick at the end of my pregnancy a lot, and she was pain. I think I even put on Facebook once, if I feel like I know her personality, she'll be a spitfire for sure, the way that she's treating me. So, but yeah, the end of pregnancy was not very fun.
Yeah, but then I feel like this strange thing happened with Hannah, more so than both of our boys, I feel like.
There you go.
Where once she was born, like her pregnancy was like, I felt like from my perspective, the most stressful. I'm trying to sing your praises.
This way? Nana? Oh, you want it big.
Yeah.
Here you go.
From my perspective, I felt like her pregnancy was the most stressful. And maybe it was something with like the time of our life, but we were kind of constantly anxious about when she was going to arrive. Right? We were in the hospital a couple of times, feeling like it was the time, and then it wasn't. And then once she actually got here, she was like the coolest, gentlest, easiest baby. Right?
But so was my attitude. Like I was just like so anxious. All like the last like week of my pregnancy, my hormones were raging, right? And I was just a mess. And then she got here, and I was like, I don't think I felt this calm in years.
Yeah, and that was bizarre. And honestly, it's very similar to what Jesus talks about in the scripture that we're going to be looking at on Sunday, which is John 16, verses 16 through 24. Jesus is, it's right before his crucifixion, and Jesus is telling his disciples, who are extremely anxious, he's telling them, in a little while, you're not going to see me. Tell him. And then again, in a little while, you'll see me, and I'll make your joy complete. And they're like wondering with themselves, like, what does he mean when he says a little while? Like, they're trying to understand the timeline. They're trying to like control the timeline, kind of like the end of pregnancy, right? You're like, this baby is coming down.
The doctors would be like, maybe tonight, maybe in 3 weeks. Like, if anybody who's been pregnant, you've heard that phrase. And I'm like, I need to know, is it tonight or is it in 3 weeks? Like,
and you're like, what do you mean?
Yeah. A little
and
while.
then Jesus uses that example of a woman giving birth, and he says, like a woman experiences pain at the moment of childbirth, but then after the baby comes into the world, she forgets her pain and she is overcome with the joy of having brought a human into the world. And we did experience that a little bit with Hannah. And, with Jesus, like what he's getting at, and he promises that, he's talking about his resurrection. He promises that after he's crucified, his disciples are going to experience deep suffering, deep sorrow, but that when he returns, when he rises from the dead, that their joy, to use his words, is their joy will be made complete. And so thinking about that that metaphor of a woman giving birth, that is in light of the resurrection, that our joy too can be made complete, right? Like we're sometimes left wondering and anxious, like those disciples were, like when is it all going to work out in my favor, right? Like what is Jesus's timeline? That we're trying to sort all of that out. And the reality is that in light of the resurrection, our joy has already been made complete. And so we don't have to be anxiously wondering about these things. That we can live joyfully, wholly in light of the resurrection, despite what we're suffering, right? Despite hard pregnancies, despite financial situations, whatever it is, we can live with a complete joy that only comes from having faith in Jesus being who he says he is, being the one who conquered death, who is victorious over the world. So we're going to talk more about that this Sunday. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I'm working it out in real time. But yeah, I hope that's a blessing for you as you wrap up your week. And I invite you just to think about those things, to invite the Spirit to soften your heart, and invite the Spirit to point at some things in your life that maybe you are anxiously holding on to, maybe you are anxiously trying to control, and not allow the joy of Christ's resurrection to completely transform your whole life, your whole heart, your whole mind. So I invite you to do that in the coming days, and I look forward to seeing many of your faces on Sunday. All right? Maybe Amanda can help me with more of these. I appreciated that.
Maybe.
All right, friends.
Bye, everybody.
We love you. We're praying for you. Can you say bye?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.